approach. But let's hear your perspective in terms of the risk outlook. What are those risks that we are going to be facing right now?
Okay, thank you. I think straight to your question, apart from the principal risks that we talk about, the market risks, the credit risk, and all of the credit risks, the main risks that we should be looking at now will be socioeconomic risk. And those socioeconomic risks are not very pronounced before, but today they're very pronounced. What do I mean by socioeconomic risk? You're just looking at enabling environment for businesses to grow. Insecurity is socioeconomic risk. Unrest, as it were, they're all socioeconomic risk. And businesses shutting down and people not able to pay, they are all coming from socioeconomic risk. And so on, even the risk of migration. People closing down their businesses, resigning their appointments, going to Canada, going to different parts of the world. Those are all socioeconomic risks. Today, they're becoming very pronounced in analyzing the business risk that affects business entities in Nigeria. So looking at second half, in my view, I want to say that there won't be so much change from what the government has done in the first half to the second half. But where we're going to experience what I would call a very significant effect in terms of risk is the last quarter of this year, where political fundings would be on the high gear, and the government begin to just keep all government policies and implementation at the back seat, and then politics now take the front seat. So at that point in time, there'll be so much money coming in for electioneering and so on, which may induce some level of inflation, especially from the food inflation. Today, we can see that inflation has moderated, or has been moderating year on year, now at 11.6, 11.4%. We're going to see like a kind of slightly increase in that. However, central bank, as far as monetary policies are concerned also, I would say have been up to it. And I want to say that if you look at the Monetary Policy Committee, they've decided to tighten and hold all the indicators and indices and all the prudentials at a tightening level. This is not a time for them to say, let's loosen up a little bit, because funds, monies are going to be flowing in circulation because of election. Now, political risk, I would say, is going to be very, very critical at that point in time. We know Nigeria, we have talks, we have political talks, even where no one is instigating it. Somebody can just, because this is election period, you get out of your home, gather people and begin to do something on tour. So there's this political risk that everybody is looking at, the talk, the insecurity, the fighting, and so on that comes up with electioneering. Okay, yes.
So you've listed a number of risks. For you, which would you say is the most significant? It would appear that from the economic side of things, we know what they are, but it would appear that, like you said, you mentioned the monetary authorities, they appear to have a handle on that. And when you also say that the economy or economic activities or the priority of the government, which is economy, may come to the backseat, I also, I often wonder when I hear that, because I'm thinking to myself that there's an economic team that works independently, led by the finance minister. And I'm thinking that, well, in what ways are they going to get involved in politics? They have a clear mandate, and I'm assuming that that's what they're going to follow. But for you, let me go back to that question. Which is the most significant for us?
For us today, the most significant is political. It's political risk. Today we can see that where we stand, village to village, they are fighting because of political differences. State to state, they are fighting because of political differences. And nationally, everyone is beginning to wonder, where are we headed? Let me take it by inference where this is leading to. If I'm an investor, and I know that an election year is coming, 6, 5, 7 months' time, the country I'm going to invest in is going to be transiting to a totally, either a new government or the continuation of a new government. So that political uncertainty remains a huge risk. Why I talked about government policy maybe taking backseat is because funds, without money, government is the biggest spender in this economy. So if government does not spend, especially for infrastructure and for other basic things that should kickstart the economy or growth drivers, growth is not going to happen. So if we are spending and spending for political reasons, you'll be increasing more spending on adverts, you'll be increasing spending on printing, both media, and so on and so forth. So that creates also opportunity for some people, maybe in a short period.
Good to hear that in all of those, there are still opportunities that people can take